The voice of the insurance agent on the phone was apologetic. "Mrs. Harrison, I am truly sorry for your loss. We need to verify a few details before we can process your death claim." I froze, my coffee cup hovering midair. "I beg your pardon," I replied slowly. "Did you just say my death claim?" There was a long pause on the other end, a confused silence that made my heart race. "Yes, ma'am," the agent said carefully. "We received notification from your son, Michael Harrison, that you passed away 3 days ago. He is listed as your beneficiary and has filed a claim for the death benefit, but we need to confirm some information with your healthcare provider." I could hear papers rustling. "Mrs. Harrison," she continued, her tone suddenly altered, "is this truly you?" "Yes," I responded, my voice now trembling. "This is Patricia Harrison. I am very much alive, and I would like to know exactly what my son informed you." I reiterated, "I am Patricia Harrison, 72 years old. Until that phone call on a Tuesday morning in March, I believed I knew my son well. I am calling you from my living room in Pennsylvania, where I have resided for 43 years. Before we proceed, I would appreciate knowing where you are located. Please share your state or country in the comments. It reassures me that I am not alone in this matter, as what transpired next made me feel more isolated than ever." The insurance agent, named Jennifer, asked me to hold while she retrieved the claim. I stood in my kitchen, staring at the wallpaper I had chosen with my late husband 20 years ago, trying to comprehend what I had just heard. Michael had informed them I was dead. My son, my only child, the boy I had raised alone after his father's heart attack when Michael was just 15. The man I had assisted in college, helped with his first house's down payment, and babysat for years. He had claimed to an insurance company that I was deceased. "Mrs. Harrison," Jennifer returned to the line. "I am reviewing the claim now. Your son submitted a death certificate dated March 14th. He stated that you were unresponsive when he found you and that you passed away from cardiac arrest. He provided documentation from a funeral home in Pittsburgh. March 14th was 3 days ago. I had been very much alive, actively watching my garden show and completing a crossword puzzle." "That's impossible," I asserted. "I spoke to Michael on March 13th. We had dinner together." "You had dinner with him?" Jennifer's voice became sharper, more professional. "Mrs. Harrison, I need to place you on hold again. This is a very serious situation." I waited, my hands trembling. Through my kitchen window, I could see Mrs. Chen, my neighbor, tending to her garden. Everything appeared normal. The sun was shining, birds were chirping, and my son had forged documents declaring me dead to collect $300,000. $300,000. That was the policy my husband had taken out 30 years ago, which I had continued to pay because it seemed responsible. Michael was aware of it. I had informed him years ago and ensured he understood he was the beneficiary. I never imagined he would attempt to collect it prematurely. Jennifer returned with another individual, a man who introduced himself as David Chen, the fraud investigation supervisor. "Mrs. Harrison," he said, his tone grave, "I need to ask you some verification questions. Can you provide your date of birth, social security number, and current address?" I answered each question, my voice growing steadier. This was real, it was happening, and I was present. I was alive, and someone needed to know the truth. "Mrs. Harrison, I must be direct with you," David said. "This constitutes insurance fraud. It is a federal crime. The documents your son submitted include a forged death certificate, falsified medical records, and fraudulent funeral home documentation. The death benefit on your policy is $312,000. If we had not conducted this verification call, which is standard procedure for claims exceeding $200,000, that money would have been transferred to your son's account within 72 hours. I would have been declared dead for less than a week before he cashed in." "What happens now?" I inquired. "We are freezing the claim immediately," David replied. "And Mrs. Harrison, I must inform you that we are obligated to report this to law enforcement. This is not merely insurance fraud. Your son forged official documents, including medical records and a death certificate. These are serious offenses." "I understand," I said quietly. "Mrs. Harrison," Jennifer interjected, "do you wish to change your beneficiary? You have that right. You can do it right now over the phone while we have your son on record attempting to commit fraud." I thought about Michael, the little boy who used to bring me dandelions from the yard, calling them flowers for Mama, the teenager who sobbed in my arms after his father died, the man who had called me 2 weeks ago asking to borrow $5,000 for car repairs, to which I had said no. For the first time in my life, I had said no to Michael. He had been angry and cold, hanging up without saying goodbye, and 3 days later, he declared me dead. Yes, I stated, I want him removed as beneficiary immediately. I will need you to state that clearly for the recording, Jennifer said gently. We are documenting everything. I took a deep breath. This is Patricia Ann Harrison, policy number. I recited the number from the letter I had received months ago, and I am requesting that Michael James Harrison be removed as my beneficiary, effective immediately. And Mrs. Harrison, David said carefully, do you want your son to know you are on the line? We have him listed as the contact number for this claim, and we are about to call him with follow-up questions. My heart raced. Did I want Michael to know I had caught him? Did I want him to hear my voice, the voice of the mother he tried to declare dead? Yes, I replied. Put him on the line. I want him to hear this. The silence that followed felt overwhelming. It took them 3 minutes to conference Michael in, 3 minutes during which I stood in my kitchen, gripping the phone, attempting to understand how I had arrived at this moment, how the child I had raised had become someone capable of this. Hello, Michael's voice came through, casual and confident. This is Michael Harrison. I was told you had questions about my mother's claim. Mr. Harrison, David said, his tone professional and cold. I have some questions about the death claim you filed on March 15th. Sure, of course, Michael replied. I could detect a slight nervousness beneath his confidence. What do you need? Well, Mr. Harrison, we have been conducting our standard verification process and have encountered some irregularities. Irregularities? Michael's voice sharpened. What kind of irregularities? I submitted everything you asked for, the death certificate, the funeral home documentation. Yes, you did, David interrupted. Mr. Harrison, I have someone else on the line who would like to speak with you. The pause was brief. Then my son asked, Who? I closed my eyes, opened them, and spoke. Hello, Michael. The silence on the other end was profound. Not a breath, not a sound, just the emptiness of a man whose world had just shattered. Mom, his voice cracked on the word. Mom, what are you? I am alive, Michael, I stated, surprised by how calm I sounded. Very much alive, unlike what you told the insurance company 3 days ago. I don't understand. There must be some mistake. The mistake, I replied, was mine. I made the mistake of trusting you, of believing that when I said no to lending you $5,000 2 weeks ago, you would understand and respect my decision. I never anticipated you would attempt to collect $300,000 instead. Mom, no, you don't understand. This is a misunderstanding. I was trying to help. Help? I asked quietly. You were trying to help by declaring me dead, by forging a death certificate, by telling them I was unresponsive? Someone stole my identity. They must have. I cut him off. They have your signature, your phone number, your address. You submitted documents with your email address. You called them yesterday to inquire about the timeline for payment. Another silence, longer this time. Mr. Harrison, David said, I will explain what happens next. We are freezing this claim. We are reporting this fraud to the FBI, the Pennsylvania State Police, and the Insurance Fraud Division. You forged federal documents, including a death certificate and medical records. You attempted to defraud an insurance company of over $300,000. These are felonies. Wait, Michael pleaded. Wait, please, I can explain. Mrs. Harrison, Jennifer interjected gently. We have your request recorded. Michael James Harrison has been removed as your beneficiary as of today's date, March 17th at 10:47 a.m. Is there anything else you require from us? No, I replied. Thank you for calling me. Mom, Michael's voice broke. Mom, please don't do this. I hung up. My hands trembled so violently that I had to place the phone down on the counter. I stood there, staring at it as if it were a bomb that had just detonated in my peaceful morning. My son had attempted to kill me, not with his hands, nor with a weapon, but with paperwork and lies. He had sought to erase my existence, to cash in on my death. If that insurance company had not conducted a routine verification call, he would have succeeded. I would have discovered I was dead when my bank accounts were frozen, when my credit cards ceased to function, and when Social Security sought to reclaim my benefits. I would have spent months, perhaps years, trying to prove I was alive while my son spent my death benefit. The thought made me feel ill. I walked to my living room and sat down in the chair where I had been 3 days prior, the day Michael had officially declared me dead. I had been alive, breathing, watching television, eating dinner, existing, and he had known it. My phone rang. Michael. I did not answer. It rang again, 6 times in 10 minutes. Then the texts began flooding in. Mom, please answer. This is all a mistake. Someone hacked my email. I would never do this to you. You're going to believe an insurance company over your own son? I can't go to prison, Mom. I have kids, your grandchildren. Think about them. That last message caused me to set the phone down. Think about them. Think about Rachel and Tommy, my grandchildren, aged 8 and 6, sweet children who called me Grandma Patty and drew me pictures. Michael was correct about one thing: this would affect them. Their father was facing arrest, charges, and possibly conviction. Their lives would be turned upside down. But whose fault was that? I had not forged documents. I had not declared my own mother dead for money. I had not committed fraud. Michael had made these choices, fully aware of the potential consequences. My phone rang again. This time it was an unknown number. I almost did not answer, but something compelled me to pick up. Mrs. Harrison, this is Detective Sarah Mitchell with the Pennsylvania State Police. I am calling regarding the insurance fraud case reported this morning. So the situation was progressing rapidly. The insurance company had not wasted time. Yes, I responded. That is me. I mean, I am the one who is supposedly dead. I understand this must be incredibly difficult, Detective Mitchell said, her voice kind. I need to ask you some questions and inform you of your rights in this situation. You are the victim of fraud, Mrs. Harrison. You are also a witness. Do you have a few minutes to talk? I surveyed my living room, filled with photographs of Michael's graduation, his wedding, and my grandchildren's birthday parties, the life I had built here over 4 decades, the peace I had fought so hard to maintain after my husband died. Yes, I replied. I have time. And if you are still watching, wondering what happens next, please hit that subscribe button because this story is far from over, and you will not believe where it leads. Detective Mitchell asked me to come to the police station the following morning. She wanted a formal statement, citing documentation and evidence. I did not sleep that night, repeatedly reflecting on the moment I had answered that phone call, the moment I had heard those words, "We are sorry for your loss," as if I had lost myself, as if I could attend my own funeral. Had Michael contemplated that? Had he prepared what he would say to others? Mom passed away peacefully in her sleep, or perhaps it was sudden. She did not suffer. Would he have shed tears at my fictitious funeral, delivered a eulogy, allowed his children to bid farewell to a grandmother who was still alive? The questions swirled in my mind like vultures. At 9 a.m., I drove to the state police barracks. Detective Mitchell met me in the lobby, a woman around 50 years old, with sharp eyes and a firm handshake. "Mrs. Harrison," she said, "thank you for coming in. I know this is not easy." She led me to an interview room. It was not the type seen on television, with mirrors and hard chairs. This room was softer, with a couch and tissues on the table. They had done this before, talked to mothers whose children had betrayed them. "I have reviewed the insurance company's report," Detective Mitchell said, opening a folder. "Your son submitted forged documents on March 15th, including a death certificate bearing the signature of Dr. Robert Walsh from Pittsburgh General Hospital. Except Dr. Walsh had died in 2019. Pittsburgh General has no record of treating you ever." "He used the name of a deceased doctor?" I asked. "Yes. He also submitted falsified funeral home documents from Henderson and Sons Funeral Home. They exist, but they have no record of your son contacting them, nor any arrangements for Patricia Harrison, and no record of processing a death certificate." "Where did he obtain these documents?" I inquired. "That is what we are attempting to ascertain. There are illegal websites where one can purchase fake death certificates, medical records, and even funeral home documentation. It is an escalating issue. People use them for insurance fraud, faking their own deaths, and evading debt. We believe your son found one of these websites. We are working to track his internet activity and financial transactions. Mrs. Harrison, she continued, I must ask if your son has ever engaged in similar behavior before: fraud, forgery, theft. I contemplated it deeply. 3 years ago, I said slowly, he asked me to co-sign a loan. I did. He defaulted on it, and I had to pay $12,000 to clear the debt. Detective Mitchell took notes. 2 years ago, he borrowed $5,000 from his aunt, my sister, and never repaid her. She ceased communication with him. More notes. Last year, he requested that I put a car in my name due to his poor credit. I declined. He became angry and did not speak to me for 2 months. I paused, recognizing the pattern for the first time. He has been doing this for years, hasn't he? Not fraud exactly, but using people, using me. Detective Mitchell regarded me with something akin to pity. Mrs. Harrison, in my experience, fraud of this nature does not emerge from nowhere. It escalates. Detective Mitchell inquired about the phone call with the insurance company. I recounted everything: Michael's panic, his excuses, his attempts to blame identity theft. That is common, she noted. Fraudsters almost always claim someone else committed the crime when they are caught. However, the evidence is clear. The email address used to submit the documents is your son's personal email. The phone calls to the insurance company originated from his cell phone. The claim form bears his signature, and we have already verified it matches his signature on file with his bank. So, there is no doubt, I confirmed. None, she affirmed. What happens next? We are issuing a warrant for his arrest. The charges will include insurance fraud, forgery of official documents, identity theft, and attempted theft. Combined, he faces up to 20 years in prison. 20 years? I was taken aback. Michael was 43. He would be in his 60s when released. Does he know? I inquired about the warrant. Not yet. We will execute it today, likely within the next few hours. My phone buzzed, a text from Michael's wife, Jennifer. Mom, please call me. Michael says there has been a terrible misunderstanding. He needs your help. I showed it to Detective Mitchell. Do you wish to respond? She asked. What could I possibly say? I replied. Your husband attempted to declare me dead to steal $300,000, but sure, let's label it a misunderstanding. Mrs. Harrison, Detective Mitchell cautioned gently, this situation will likely worsen before it improves. Your son will probably attempt to manipulate you. His wife may pressure you. Other family members may become involved. People will ask you to drop the charges. Can I? I asked. Drop the charges? This is a federal crime, she explained. The insurance company filed the report. The FBI is involved. Even if you wish to drop it, which you cannot because you are not the prosecutor, this will proceed. Your son committed fraud against a federally regulated institution. I felt a sense of relief. The decision was not mine. I did not have to choose between my son and justice. The law had already made that choice. There is one more thing, Detective Mitchell said carefully. We have reviewed your son's financial records. He is in significant debt: credit cards, personal loans, gambling debts. He owes over $200,000. Gambling debts? I was unaware Michael had a gambling problem. The insurance payout would have covered most of it, she continued. We believe that was his motive. He was not merely greedy, he was desperate. And I was his solution, I said quietly. Die and resolve all his problems. He did not think I would actually pass away. Detective Mitchell stated, he thought he would collect the money before anyone noticed the fraud. People commit insurance fraud frequently, believing they will not be caught. They do not realize how many verification systems are in place. That verification call saved my life, I said. Not literally, but it saved me. Yes, she agreed, it did. My phone rang. Michael, I silenced it. Mrs. Harrison, Detective Mitchell said, I must prepare you for what comes next. Your son will be arrested. There will be media attention. Insurance fraud cases involving family members tend to attract reporters. Your grandchildren will find out. Your community will know. Are you ready for that? I reflected on my quiet life, my garden, my routine. No, I replied honestly, but I have no choice. They arrested Michael at his workplace that afternoon. Detective Mitchell called to inform me he had been taken into custody without incident, processed, and was being held pending a bail hearing. He is requesting to speak with you, she said. I have nothing to say to him, I responded. That night, Jennifer called me. Michael's wife, the mother of my grandchildren. Mom, she said, crying, please, you must help us. Michael made a mistake, but he does not deserve to go to prison. Think about Rachel and Tommy. They need their father. Jennifer, I said carefully, did Michael tell you what he did? He said there was a misunderstanding with the insurance documents. Jennifer, stop. Your husband filed a death claim on my life insurance while I was alive. He forged a death certificate. He informed an insurance company I was dead so he could collect $300,000. That is not a misunderstanding. That is fraud. Silence ensued on the other end. You are lying, Jennifer finally said. Michael would never call the insurance company. Call the police, I instructed. They will tell you exactly what your husband did. And Jennifer, were you aware of Michael's gambling debts? The $200,000 he owes? Another silence, this one longer. What gambling debts? She whispered. Ask him, I replied. Inquire where the money went. Ask him why he needed $300,000 so desperately that he was willing to declare his own mother dead. She hung up. The following day, Michael's bail hearing took place. Detective Mitchell called me afterward. Bail was set at $250,000, she said. He cannot afford it. He will remain in custody until trial. How long until trial? I inquired. 6 months, perhaps more. Mrs. Harrison, I must inform you of something. Michael's attorney is planning a defense. They will argue that you had a strained relationship, that you were estranged, and that Michael genuinely believed you were dead or dying. I almost laughed. It was absurd. I had dinner with him the night before he filed the claim, I stated. We ate Chinese food. We discussed the grandchildren. He again requested money, which I denied. He was angry when he left, but I was clearly alive. I understand, Detective Mitchell replied, but they will attempt to paint you as a difficult mother. They will claim there was confusion, that Michael was trying to assist with funeral expenses. Funeral expenses? I interrupted. For a woman who is not dead? It will not work, she assured me. The evidence is overwhelming. However, I wanted you to be prepared. They will attempt to undermine your character to defend his actions. That realization struck me. Michael was not merely going to accept the consequences. He was going to fight. Fighting meant he would attempt to destroy me in court. My son would stand before a judge and jury, claiming I was the problem, asserting that my existence was the real crime. 3 weeks later, I received a call from Michael's attorney. He wanted to discuss a plea deal. Your son is willing to plead guilty to reduced charges, the attorney explained, but he wants assurance you will speak on his behalf at sentencing. I met with the prosecutor before making any decisions. Her name was Amanda Ross, and she handled fraud cases for the federal district court. Mrs. Harrison, she said, I want to clarify that whether you speak at your son's sentencing is entirely up to you, but his plea deal is not contingent upon your cooperation. He is pleading guilty because the evidence is overwhelming. 10 years with the possibility of parole after 7, I asked. Yes. What if I spoke on his behalf? I inquired. Would it make a difference? It might reduce his sentence by a year or 2, Amanda replied candidly. Judges often consider family circumstances, especially when grandchildren are involved. But Mrs. Harrison, you need to understand that your son attempted to financially kill you. That is what fraud like this is. He sought to profit from your death and was willing to fabricate that death on paper to make it happen. I understand, I said quietly. So the question is, Amanda continued, what do you want? Do you desire leniency for him, or do you seek justice? I contemplated that for days. Justice? What did justice even look like? Michael had betrayed me in the worst possible way. He had seen dollar signs when he looked at me. He had calculated the worth of my death and deemed it acceptable. Yet he was still my son, the boy I had raised, the father of my grandchildren. Jennifer had filed for divorce. She had taken the children and moved in with her parents. Rachel and Tommy had asked about me. Why isn't Grandma visiting anymore? Why is Daddy in jail? What was I supposed to tell them? Your father attempted to declare me dead for money. Would you like some cookies? I decided to visit Michael before the sentencing. The jail permitted supervised visits, and Detective Mitchell arranged it. He appeared terrible, thinner, older, defeated. "Mom," he said when they brought him in, trying to reach for my hand across the table. I pulled back. "Do not," I replied. "Mom, please. I'm here to listen," he said. "You have 5 minutes. Tell me why. Not the excuses, not the lies. Tell me why you thought this was acceptable." Michael's face crumpled. For a moment, I saw the boy who had cried in my arms when his father died. "I was desperate," he confessed. "The gambling debts, the loans, they were threatening me, Mom. They said they would hurt Jennifer, hurt the kids." I panicked. "I saw the insurance policy and thought I could resolve everything by declaring you dead. I did not think they would actually verify it. I assumed it would simply process. I would receive the money, pay off the debts, and no one would know." "But I would have known," I countered. "When the death certificate appeared in databases, when my accounts were frozen, when I had to prove I was alive, you would have destroyed my life to save yours." "I know," he whispered. "I know, and I am sorry. God, Mom, I am so sorry." "Are you sorry you did it?" I asked. "Or sorry you got caught?" He did not respond. That silence told me everything I needed to know. The sentencing hearing occurred on a Thursday in October. 7 months after that phone call altered everything. I sat in the courtroom, observing Michael as he stood before the judge. He looked small in his prison jumpsuit, broken. His attorney spoke first, portraying a picture of a desperate man who had made a grave mistake. He discussed Michael's children, his previously clean record, and his remorse. Then Amanda Ross stood up. "Your Honor," she began, "the defendant did not make a mistake. He made a series of calculated choices. He researched how to forge documents, paid for fake death certificates from an illegal website, contacted an insurance company, and repeatedly lied about his mother's death and submitted fraudulent funeral home documentation. He called them multiple times to inquire about payment timelines. These were not impulsive decisions. This was premeditated fraud." She paused and then looked at me. "Mrs. Harrison has prepared a statement if the court will hear it." The judge nodded. "Mrs. Harrison, please approach." I walked to the front of the courtroom. I had written something, but standing there, looking at my son, the prepared words felt inadequate. "Your Honor," I began, "I am 72 years old. I have been a widow for 27 years. I raised my son alone after his father died. I worked 2 jobs to put him through college. I assisted him with his down payment on a house. I babysat my grandchildren every weekend for years. I loved him more than anything in this world." I glanced at Michael, who was crying, and he looked at me and saw $300,000. He saw an obstacle to solving his problems. He did not call me for help. He did not inform me he was in trouble. He simply decided I was worth more dead than alive. My voice cracked. I will never forgive him for that, not because of the fraud itself, but because of what it revealed. My son does not love me. He loves what I can provide. And when I could not give him what he desired, he decided to take it anyway. I turned to the judge. "Whatever sentence you impose will not rectify what he has broken. He did not merely commit fraud. He killed something. Trust, love, family. Those elements are now dead. Your Honor, and no amount of prison time will restore them." The judge remained silent for a long moment. "Mr. Harrison," he finally stated, "you attempted to financially execute your mother. You filed paperwork that would have erased her existence, frozen her assets, and destroyed her identity, all while she was alive and well. This is one of the most callous frauds I have encountered in 20 years on this bench." He paused. "The court sentences you to 12 years in federal prison with eligibility for parole after 8 years. You will also be required to pay full restitution to the insurance company for investigation costs, and you will be permanently barred from being a beneficiary on any life insurance policy." Michael's legs buckled. His attorney caught him. I exited the courtroom without looking back. That was 3 years ago. Michael remains incarcerated. He will be eligible for parole in 5 more years. I have not visited him. I have not written. I have not accepted his calls. Jennifer has remarried. She found a good man who treats my grandchildren well. Rachel and Tommy are now 11 and 9. They understand their father did something wrong that hurt people. Someday they will learn the full story, but not yet. I have altered my life insurance policy. My sister is now the beneficiary. I have also revised my will, power of attorney, and healthcare directives. Michael's name is no longer associated with anything. People occasionally ask if I regret my decisions, turning him in, testifying against him, allowing him to go to prison. I do not. For here is what I have learned. Some betrayals are unforgivable, not because forgiveness is wrong, but because some actions reveal truths. Michael has shown me who he truly is, a man who would prefer to file paperwork declaring his mother dead rather than engage in an honest conversation about finances and consequences. The insurance company, specifically Jennifer and David, saved my life that day. Had they not made that verification call, I would have spent months or years in legal turmoil trying to prove my own existence. My credit would have been annihilated, my identity stolen, my peace shattered. Instead, I caught him, I halted him, and I ensured he faced consequences. I continue to live in the same house in Pennsylvania. I still tend to my garden, watch my shows, and complete my crossword puzzles. However, I do so with the knowledge that I survived something most individuals cannot even fathom: my own son attempting to erase me from the world. The money from the life insurance policy remains intact, awaiting distribution. Not for Michael, never for Michael. It is now for Rachel and Tommy, allocated into educational trusts that he cannot access, even if he desired to. Something good has emerged from something terrible. Last week, I received a letter from Michael. The prison forwarded it through his attorney, who cautioned me that I was not obligated to read it. I read it nonetheless. It was filled with apologies, explanations, and pleas for forgiveness. He claimed to have found God in prison. He expressed understanding of his actions and a desire for a chance to rectify them. I read every word and then placed the letter in a drawer with the others I had received over the past 3 years. Perhaps someday I will respond. Perhaps someday I will visit. Perhaps someday there will be a conversation where we both address the truth of what transpired and its implications. But not today. Today, I am 75 years old. I am alive. I exist. I have my name, my identity, my life, and no one, not even my son, can take that away from me. If you have watched this entire story, thank you. Thank you for bearing witness to my experience. Thank you for understanding that some betrayals run so deep that survival itself becomes a victory. I am Patricia Harrison. I am alive, and I reclaimed my life the day I refused to be erased. Please subscribe to my channel. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. With love and respect.